How important is your relationship with your portfolio lender? And are portfolio lenders even relevant anymore? Hey everyone, Kevin Amolsch, Pine Financial Group, where we work together so you succeed. Thank you so much for checking out our video. If you're on Facebook, be sure to hit the like button. If you're checking us out on YouTube, hit subscribe and like. And then be sure to hit that notification button. I got a guest with me today, Travis Sperr, and we're pretty excited about this topic because I think it's pretty important. And as an investor, you're going to learn this either the easy way, which is us, or it's going to be the hard way, which is the school of hard knocks.
For sure.
And we've both been through the ringer on this topic. What we're talking about is how important is your relationship with your portfolio lender? And are portfolio lenders even relevant anymore? You know, I used to hear a lot of hype about it. Travis, why don't you tell us a little bit about what your understanding of a portfolio lender is?
Sure. Portfolio lender would be, typically is going to be a local bank. So, and when I say local, I mean, not because they're local to where you live, but it might be a bank that has less than, let's say 10, 15, maybe even 20 branches in your metro area. And those are going to be the banks that when they make a loan, they portfolio. They put it in their portfolio. They don't sell it off to Fannie or Freddie or a conventional type of product, which means that sometimes they can make decisions that those more conforming or conventional loans wouldn't allow. Maybe they can make an exception on debt-to-income ratio or income or a specific type of property. And so having those relationships will be important when you need financing on a product or a project that doesn't fit into that kind of more conventional financing.
Yeah, so exactly what he said. The portfolio lender is someone that keeps a loan in their portfolio. Pine Financial Group, we're a hard money lender. We originate, we keep the loans, we service loan all in-house. So we would technically be considered a portfolio lender. But when you hear the slang portfolio lender,
Sure.
We're not talking about hard money lenders typically. We're talking about the local community banks that could finance your fix and flips. They could finance your new construction, which I think we're going to talk a little bit more
Sure.
today. And they could finance rental properties. See, one of the big benefits of portfolio lending is the flexibility like you talked about.
Yeah.
You know, we want to build wealth here. We want to have lots of properties, lots of multiple streams of income, right? And with the conventional world, you kind of get restricted a little bit, don't you?
Sure, absolutely. And when I first kind of got into the business and started buying rental properties, Kevin was telling me you need to get a relationship with the bank. And I'm thinking, well, what difference does it make? All I do is go there, deposit my money, write some checks. But the day came when I needed to finance my first rental property that conventional loan couldn't lend on because of a construction defect lawsuit in the development. I needed to go to that portfolio lender. They can make an exception for the current lawsuit that was taking place, and they could see around that with the right amount of money down, let you take title in your entity, typically the underwriting. When you first start working with them, maybe a little tighter, but after you've done a couple deals with them, you just call them and say, this one will close, and they typically will get it done for you. So it's really, really relationship driven and not necessarily in the box, if you will. They can make some exceptions for that.
So I've got a couple of stories about portfolio lending. You know, I had a non-conforming unit that I had to finance. It was a threeplex that was zoned for a single family. That thing cash flowed like crazy. I couldn't get that done with a Fannie Mae or Freddie Mac lender. But that wasn't my story. What my story is I had two loans going on at one time with two different portfolio lenders. And you and I talked about this, but one of them was to finance my personal home. And so I was looking for a loan of it's a construction loan, about $750,000 on a value of $1.3 million. I went to the bank and they wouldn't do it. My first bank wouldn't do it. I had the great relationship with. Moved to another bank, and they got it closed in about 3.5 weeks. So it was a fantastic experience with this new lender who I ended up building a strong relationship with. I went back to the original bank, and I wanted to finance a rental property. Now, this was a lease option that I had. I had an option on it for the last 10 years. It had appreciated in value. I think it appraised for a little over $600,000, like $620,000, something like that. I was looking for a loan of $318,000. And this lender, it took them about 7 weeks to get that thing closed. And I'm actually surprised that it closed. So two very different experiences with two portfolio lenders, two different projects, granted, but 3.5 weeks, 7 weeks, almost 50% of the value, not new construction. It's already cash flowing. That's crazy. Why do you think that I had two experiences so different with two different banks?
Yeah, so what's interesting is when you look at portfolio lenders, typically their appetites are very different. And I had similar situations where I was trying to finance a townhome, just a single townhome, already owned it, low loan to value. And it took about 8 weeks for them to tell me that I had too many properties, more than 4, so they couldn't finance it for me. Turned around, went to a different bank, 30 days, closed it, better rate, lower fees. They just had a better appetite for that product. So when you're looking for a portfolio lender, you may have to have a few in your back pocket. Hey, I'm going to finance a rental property. I want to work with this lender. If I'm going to do a new construction project, it might be this lender. Fix and flip might be another lender. And it's really important to know what the appetite for each lender is so you can create your relationships accordingly. Now, when we use the term relationships with portfolio lenders, we're not talking about showing up on Saturday morning and grabbing a donut and saying hello, right? What does that mean when we say relationships?
You know, relationships with portfolio lenders is interesting because I thought the same thing. I was like, they're going to take me to Bronco games. I'm going to go to get a drink with them, which they don't drink very much, by the way. Relationship with portfolio lending is all about deposits. They want your banking relationship. Now, being credible and having knowing that you've been successful and being able to share that with them, that is important, but we're really talking about the deposits. So you need to be very careful with where you're putting your money in. And I would recommend highly, this is my perspective, highly, that you're working with the small business and community banks. If you're banking with Wells Fargo, if you're banking with US Bank, one of these big ones, Chase, no offense to those companies, they're great, but they're not going to be flexible and allow you to build the relationship that you need to build.
That's right. And also along the construction, we had a really great relationship with a bank that was funding construction for us, and they got acquired by another bank. And at that time, their appetite completely changed. They did not want to fund the type of construction projects that they had already done multiple for us. Just overnight, boom, they got acquired, and that changed. So how do you know if your bank's going to be acquired? Well, frankly, you don't. That's why you need relationships with as many as possible.
Multiple relationships. So if I'm going to a bank to build a relationship and I want to get financing from a portfolio lender, their process is very different than you would see with a mortgage broker or a mortgage banker.
Sure.
Can you walk us through what's the process inside the bank when you're going for financing?
Yeah, so this is interesting and really hard to wrap your mind around until maybe you have had a banker, have a drink or two, and share how this works. So typically, it's not like a loan application or something. You're going to send over your personal financial statement and the deal that you're working on. They're going to have an idea of what you're doing. From there, that banker, who's typically will have a title of vice president, which we often joke about, will then take that to either someone above him or even to the loan committee. And when they go to loan committee, there might be 8 or 10 people who make a decision on every deal that goes through the bank over a certain dollar amount. And they may not do the deal just because they don't like your last name or something. I mean, anything's possible. Half joking, but they don't, then if there's a problem with your deal, they won't fund it. You don't have the opportunity to actually have a conversation with the decision maker. That can be frustrating if you feel like you have a really killer deal and you can't get it financed because maybe it doesn't fit their appetite. One great thing about working with Pine Financial Group is typically the person who answers the phone is a decision maker, and we can decide whether or not we can get your deal done for you.
Yeah, so that's all good information. It is important to understand that there's a committee involved. So when you're going to build a relationship and you want to work with a bank, you should do this. You should want that. You need to work with someone who sits on the committee. So you're going to get the low person on the totem pole at first, likely. They're going to call themselves a vice president, which all that means is they're a loan officer. And they don't sit on the committee, so they have no pull for you at all. They might present the loan to the committee, but they don't really influence the committee. But if you can get above them to like a senior vice president or something like that, executive, they have all kinds of names, then you're going to get someone that sits on the committee, and they're going to be much more influential in that committee meeting with your loan. So I would definitely ask who you're talking to, do you sit on the loan approval committee?
Yeah, that's all very, very great feedback. So as we kind of wrap it up here, maybe we'll give some bullet points of why it's important to have portfolio lending and what that looks like. We mentioned typically going to be local banks. You want to create good relationships with them, which remember is deposits, not donuts. And you're going to want to find somebody who's on the loan committee. And of course, understanding what each bank's appetite is before you bring the deal to them so that you don't waste a bunch of time. Of course, the better loan package that you've put together, the easier it is to get answers. If you have to chase down tax returns that are in your storage unit, 6 miles away, it's going to be difficult to get a quick decision. So putting together a clean package could also be very beneficial as you create that relationship.
And one final thought here, there is going to be down payment requirements with working with bank. They are conservative, so you're looking at 75% loan to value max on your deals. So if that's a little bit more than you're willing or wanting to do and you're finding quality real estate deals, definitely give us a call. Pine Financial doesn't have a loan to cost ratio requirement, so we could loan 100% of your purchase, your repairs, your closing costs, all of that, up to 70% of the after repaired value in certain markets. 65% if you're in Milwaukee, but 70% everywhere else. So check us out, pinefinancialgroup.com. Comments below, let us know what you think about the video, our channel. If you have any questions for us, we're going to monitor those and answer the questions. Final thought?
Yeah, we just would love the opportunity to look at your deals. So whether it's comments or a phone call, we'd like to see what you're working on and how we can help you.
Thank you.